Manchester United traveled to Craven Cottage in what already feels like a must-win game for the club. After a disappointing defeat on opening day at Old Trafford against Arsenal, there were a lot of positives that United fans could take for the game. But at the end of the day, as we all know, football is a results-based business. You have to win. And although it's the second game of the season, it already feels like this is a must win for Manchester United. So I thought, why not preview the game? Why not break down exactly where Manchester United need to be better than they were against Arsenal to make sure that they secure the 3 points at Craven Cottage to officially kickstart their 25-26 season. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your espresso, and let's get into the preview for the game. So I went back and watched Fulham's game against Brighton from match week 1, and I'm not sure if they're going to make any changes, but their starting 11 was Leno in goal. They had a back four that consisted of Tete, Anderson, Cuenca, and Bassi. They had a midfield two of Lukic and Sanderberg. They had the three going across with Wilson, King, and Iwobi, with Raul Jimenez up top. When it comes to Manchester United, I personally think that we can see a lot of the same. I think we are going to see Altay Bayındır in goal. However, there have been reports that Manchester United are apparently thinking of the idea of bringing Andre Onana back into the starting 11 and back into the number 1 position, but time will tell and we will see. For now, I think it'll be Altay. Again, I spoke about how I thought he had a pretty good game against Arsenal, aside from the goal, of course. I thought his distribution, getting those passes, fizzing those passes into the midfield and breaking Arsenal's press with one pass, I thought he was doing a really good job. Completely overshadowed, of course, by the goal from the set piece, but I think Altay stays in goal. I think when it comes to the back three, in my opinion, it stays the same. With Luke Shaw, and Ruben Amorim has spoken very highly about him, the issue has never been quality, it has always been fitness. And we all know that Ruben Amorim loves to have a left-footed center half at left center half. To be able to receive from deep and play those balls into the channels for his attackers to run onto. We saw how well Lisandro did in Ruben Amorim's system in a back three. Luke Shaw, although a different player, offers some similar characteristics, most specifically when it comes to progression. So I think Luke Shaw will keep his place. I thought Matthijs de Ligt, as I said, was man of the match against Arsenal. I think he stays. And I think we've seen time and time again that Lenny Euro is the future of this football club. He can play anywhere, in my opinion, along the line of that three. I think he keeps his position as the right center half. In the midfield too, look, I want to see Kobe play. I think it's ridiculous the amount of conversations that people have had from one 90-minute match that apparently Kobe's not in Ruben Amorim's plans. But when you have a footballer that produces football the way that he does, the way that he can collect the ball in deeper positions and play forward, I think you need that profile in midfield, especially with the current setup that Manchester United have. Ruben Amorim spoke a lot about how he wants Bruno Fernandes a lot closer to goal. I think when you have Kobe in midfield, he gives you that. The problem is, Kobe is not a defensive midfielder. He is also quite attacking minded, although good in deeper positions with the ball. He is not that anchor in midfield. I think that Ruben Amorim opts to go with Casemiro and opts to go with Bruno Fernandes because I think that's just what he's most comfortable with right now. Is it right? I wouldn't necessarily say yes, but I actually thought that Casemiro was the better of the two against Arsenal. I thought there were a few times where he broke up play really well. I think he has still, although his legs are going, a variety of passing range. He can still pick out a beautiful pass. So I think the midfield too stays the same as well. For me, the wingbacks, I think you go with Patrick Dorgu again. Unlucky to not score against Arsenal with that shot that hit the post. I want to see him get involved a lot in this game in these areas, as much as I want to see Ahmad involved in these areas. I want these two wingbacks to get in behind as much as possible. Test Tete, test Bassi, run in behind, and connect with your 10s. The reason I want to see Amad Diallo play is we saw the type of football that he produces when he came on against Arsenal. He was dribbling around Noni Madueke essentially like he wasn't even there, and he was creating opportunities. He was creating chaos. He was getting into the 18 off of his dribbles alone, and I think that type of quality in the final third against a team who I think is going to give Manchester United possession of the ball. I think it's a trait that you really need. Dorgu isn't necessarily a 1v1 specialist. Of course, neither is Diogo Dalot. I want to see one of the wingbacks have the ability to unlock a defense from a dribble, and there is no better player in our team to do that, in my opinion, than Ahmad. I think he should start. I want to see Manchester United go after it from minute one. I want to see us really take the game to Fulham, and I think you can do that a lot more when you have a specialist dribbler like an Ahmad compared to a more defensive player like a Diogo Dalot. In the front two positions in the 10s, I think they picked themselves. Again, a frustrating result, but there were glimpses definitely from Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha. I think they are going to get a little bit more comfortable as they continue to grow with the side. And Mbeumo got in some good positions, didn't necessarily get the shots that he wanted to in terms of the overall power in his shots, but there were moments where he looked dangerous. And for me, aside from Matthijs de Ligt, I thought Matheus Cunha was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was everywhere. Again, we've made tons of content on this guy, but the way that he can drop into these pockets, the one time where he picked up a pass in this area, spun Ben White, drove all the way into this position. But Matheus Cunha is that maverick. He is that player that is going to drift. He is going to roam. He is going to collect the ball from deep. And he is the one player in the side more than anyone that has the ability to really run at Fulham's midfield, really run at Fulham's back line. And again, with Matheus Cunha, he just produces an abundance of football. For me, it's a no-brainer when it comes to the number 9 position. I don't want to see, again, a front three of Mbeumo, Cunha, and Mount, or Mbeumo, Cunha, and Bruno. You went and splashed the money on a number 9. There are no excuses not to play this number 9. For all the good that Manchester United did against Arsenal, there were way too many moments in the game where they would work the ball well out wide, whether it was a triangle with Bruno, Cunha, and Dorgu, or Bruno would shift over to the right space and connect well with Mbeumo, and it was most notably Diogo Dalot. There were a few times where Mbeumo got the ball over to Diogo Dalot. There were a few times where Matheus Cunha got the ball over to Patrick Dorgu, and there was no one occupying the 18. Like we spoke about in the breakdown against Arsenal, there were great moments in this game. Again, you see here Diogo Dalot making the overlap, and it's a 2v1 versus Arsenal, and Mbeumo's getting on the ball. And this is what happens. Diogo Dalot makes the overlap, and this is a good position, but there's no one other than Diogo Dalot in the 18 to crash the box, to ask questions of Gabriel, to ask questions of Saliba. All the good work that they did, it just makes it a lot easier for Arsenal to defend because you have the back four, and then you also have Declan Rice, you have Zubimendi dropping into the 18 to be able to defend the space. Again here, this is where Matheus Cunha threatened Arsenal's goal, and it was a great opportunity. David Raya made a brilliant save, to be fair to him. But again, there's no presence in the 18. Of course, you have Mbeumo to the bottom of the screen where Calafiori is making sure he's not going to run across goal and get into a good position. But there's no one threatening the 18. There's no number 9, and there's no focal point. It's very important that you have that focal point. Gabriel's there for cover when and if Matheus Cunha turns Declan Rice, I believe that is. And it's just quite simple, and it takes a moment of magic for Matheus Cunha to create an opportunity on his own where United really should have that presence in the 18 to be able to make a run to the near post, to be able to make a run to the far post, and give United players that are out wide in these positions options to aim for, when the reality is they didn't have that in the Arsenal game. And again here, Dorgu 1v1, he is going to be aggressive and he is going to play ball into the 18. And we've shown this picture before in the Arsenal tactical breakdown after the game. But what do you see here? You see nobody in the 18, and Mbeumo just entering the 18, but you have 3 Arsenal players in the 18 with Declan Rice just outside of it. It just makes it way too easy for Arsenal to defend, and this will be the same situation against Fulham if United don't play Cesco from the off. You spent the money on the Slovenian striker. He's had some time now. He's only going to get match fit and ready from game time. And I think there was just no excuses for Ruben Amorim to not start him from the off at Craven Cottage on Sunday. And it's not only when Manchester United get the ball in the wide areas that a Benjamin Cesco is going to be important. We've spoken about it before. In build-up, Bayender did a brilliant job of fizzing those balls into Bruno, and he even did a good job of finding the 10s in open spaces. But when you have Cesco, who can bring the ball down and involve his teammates around him because of his size, his athleticism, he is going to be not only a focal point for United when they're in the final third, but he's also going to be a focal point from build-up. Another thing Manchester United like to do, and I don't think they did it enough against Arsenal, is getting the balls into these half spaces, whether it's Mbumo, whether it's Ahmad coming underneath, whether it's Bruno in these half spaces, whether it's Mateus Cunha or Patrick Dorgu. United like to get crosses in from this area, from these areas. When you have a Benjamin Cesco who is going to pin the center halves, who is going to be making those runs that are going to challenge the center halves, he always gives you something to aim at. And it might not always be him that's getting a head on the ball and going for goal. There might be moments where United get the ball in the half spaces against Fulham. He makes the run into the space, and this gives United two options. Cesco can either go from goal from this area, or United can flood the box and get bodies around him for him to play off of and go and attack and score. The reality is Manchester United have been crying out for a number 9 for way too long. Now that they have him, they must use him. He has to start against Fulham at Craven Cottage because Manchester United need 3 points. There is no way around it. A draw or a loss will only start to add to the questions that are already mounting from match day 1 against Arsenal. Even though I thought it was a good performance, the reality is that's going to wear off really quickly. Football is a performance-based business. If you don't get 3 points, questions are always going to be asked. Manchester United have Fulham this week, and then they have Burnley next week, and there's no excuses for them not to get 6 points. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Ruben Amorim is going to go with an unchanged 11? Do you think he goes with Andre Onana instead of Altay Bayender? Do you think Benjamin Cesco starts from the off? As always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Remember to hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. We are going to be doing our first ever live watch along for the game against Fulham on Sunday. So if you're interested in joining, please feel free. I'm super excited for this one. Hopefully we can celebrate a win and 3 points. That is it for me though. I will chat to y'all again very soon. Until next time, peace.